Okay, Mr. Chairman, you do have a quorum to conduct business this evening.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
To the chair, this is Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes.
I so move that we approve the agenda as written.
This is Commissioner Willis. I support.
Through the chair, this is Kyle.
Yes.
I am requesting that we switch. So under item E, we have the two public hearings for the historic district properties. If we could switch the order and have PHDD 20-0003 go first.
Okay.
To the chair,
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper, I move that we amend the motion to approve the minutes with the switch as noted by Carl.
And again, Commissioner Willis, support.
Okay, we've got a motion for the amended agenda by Commissioner Culpepper, supported by Commissioner Willis. I have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Willis.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffith.
Yes.
Okay, sir, you have an approval for your agenda.
Okay, are there any announcements or communications?
If I may, through the chair, as I had noted earlier, that we do have kind of a meeting inside a meeting. So with the next items on the agenda, we will have the Historic Designation Advisory Board be called to order, have their roll call vote, and then have their two items. And then ultimately, once they have adjourned their meeting, then we will then continue with the Planning Commission items this evening.
Okay. Thank you. So at this time, we'll call to order the Historic Designation Advisory Board meeting. And that associated roll call?
Yes, it will.
Okay, so Booker.
Present.
Planner, so that would be me, present. Mark Pilot.
Present.
Corey Moffitt. I don't see him here. Darla Van Hoy.
Here.
Ken Siver, I don't see him here. Dale Guire.
Present.
Rosemary Allen, I don't see her here. And Jeremy Griffiths.
Here.
Okay, so we do have a quorum to conduct business. So on the agenda, we have two hearings for the Historic Designation Advisory Board. So with the amended agenda, the first item is PHDD 20-003. So briefly, Historic District Designation, it's just a recognition that a property has unique historical or architectural significance to the city. So this is different than any kind of state or national level designation. It's only here in the city of Southfield. But what this does is not only recognizes the property for its historical nature, but it also protects it by requiring that all permitting or demolition requests be additionally reviewed by the Southfield Historical Commission. So both of these properties, there's no construction or any major projects that are proposed. Instead, we're just recognizing their historical significance. So with the general process is we have a preliminary report. We're going to hold these public hearings and then make a final report to the city council. So like I said, the first that we have is the Smokey Robinson house. So this is petitioner owner Sheila Booker at 17077 Westland Avenue. This is the southeast corner of Westland and West Hampton. It is a 1958 mid-century modern single-family home. The significant portion for this house is that it was Smokey Robinson's home from 1970 to 1973. Next slide, please. So here's an aerial of the house on the corner. You can see the general shape of the pool. Next slide. And then here are some existing conditions of the house. Next slide. It's the front of the house. Let's see here. So this house was part of Northland Gardens, which was developed as part of the Northland Mall from J.L. Hudson. Um, the entire neighborhood was platted in 1956, and it was built out by 1980. So the neighborhood itself received National Historic District status due to its outstanding design quality, cohesiveness, and continuing historical integrity to its original mid-century modern design. This particular house in 1958, it was constructed as one of the largest homes in the neighborhood. It has a asymmetrical U design with a courtyard in-ground pool. The real historical nature as it pertains to Southfield is that Smokey Robinson purchased the home and lived there in the 1970s. So Smokey Robinson was born in Detroit in 1940. He founded and fronted the Miracles for many years and met future Motown founder Berry Gordy 2 years later. They were a key part of Motown's success. Eventually, he kind of tired from touring and wanted to spend time with his family. So in 1970, he purchased this house. Eventually, when Motown left for Los Angeles, he followed suit. So he did sell the home in 1973. The current homeowners have been there since 1986. And they've maintained a high degree of integrity with virtually no alterations. Let's see. I guess through the chair, Jeff, I think Rosemary Allen is trying to get in. I don't know if you can see anything on your end or not. She just sent me an email. I just wanted to let you know.
If I may, through the chair, let me unmute both
Hello?
people on the agenda. Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Well, I was wondering about this HLB controls. It's listed
If I may, right now we're in
What?
the middle of a meeting, and since you are a member of the public, I'm going to put you back on hold for the time being. The other person, I do have a telephone number who's on the attendee list.
Jeff, this is Ken Cyber.
Okay, Mayor. Then what I'll do is I'm gonna put you on mute for the time being, but I will note that you're on the line now.
That's fine, thank you. I had trouble getting in on video, but I'm on the phone.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Kyle. So we do have one person on the line who obviously is a member of the public, and we will give them an opportunity once the public hearing is opened up.
Okay. So that's all I have for this property. I don't know if there are any questions at this time or if we should go right to the public hearing. Okay, let's do it. Next slide, please. So at this moment, I'm going to open up the public comment for this property. The public is invited to speak for 3 minutes.
Yeah, and with that, obviously, we do know already that we do have someone on the line, so I will unmute that person. You have a question with regard to this particular public hearing, PHDD 20-0003?
No, I had 0001.
Well, 0001 is not being discussed right now. 0003 is at the moment.
Personal order. I'm out the HL. It's listed.
If I may, to the caller, we're taking both of these items out of order. So PHDD 20-0003 is first. Once the advisory board has had their public hearing and has discussed and rendered a decision on 0003, then we'll bring up 0001. So if that's the one that you would like to comment on, if you'd like to wait for a few minutes, then we will come back to 0001 shortly.
I'm listening, and I guess we're on a time.
Yeah, there's about a 30-second delay between this particular meeting and then what's shown on cable.
Hello?
Yes, again, if your comment is with regard to the first public hearing, 0001, then that will be taken up shortly.
That's what I'm.
Okay, what if I may, through the chair to the advisory board? It seems that this particular caller has questions about the first item, which is actually the second item this evening. So unless we have anyone else who is willing to call in with regard to the public hearing for this particular house on Westland, which I'm not seeing any additional callers since we've probably been at least 2, maybe 3 minutes or so, I would say that we have no one on the line calling in for the first item, PHDD 20-0003. At which point, then you can close the public hearing.
Okay, I am going to close the public hearing for this item. So with that in mind, I'm looking for a motion to approve the report for this property. And again, this will be wrapped up along with an ordinance and taken to City Council for a final approval. So in lieu of a planner's recommendation, we do have a significance for each property. So for this one, PHDD 20-0003, the home is already recognized on the national level for its inclusion in the Northland Gardens subdivision. It retains a high degree of integrity of its original mid-century modern design. Instead, the home is important to local Southfield history as the noteworthy residence of Smokey Robinson. Today, the home is still known in the neighborhood as Smokey's House. The Smokey Robinson House meets the criteria for exceptional significance under criteria consideration B, as it is associated with lives or persons significant in our past. So with that in mind, I'm happy to take any other questions, or we can entertain a motion to fully endorse this item.
Darla Van Hoy, I move that we approve this designation of the property at 17077 Westland in the historic Northland Gardens subdivision.
Support.
I think that was Miss Allen.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So that was a motion by Van Hoy and a second by Allen. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Roll call vote for this item. Booker.
Support.
Planner, on behalf of Terry Crode, I support. Pilot.
Support.
Van Hoy.
Support.
Cyber, which through the chair, Jeff, you might have to unmute him.
Actually, he is not muted.
Okay.
Yes.
Cyber.
Yes.
Dwyer.
Support.
Allen.
Yes, support.
Griffiths.
Support.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, so with our amended agenda, going back to item 1. So this is PHDD 20-0001, known as the Magnell House. So this is brought to us by petitioner and owner Kenson Cyber. This is at 18405 Melrose Avenue, which is the southwest corner of Melrose and Hollywood. It is a 1930 English Tudor single-family residential home. It is built in the noteworthy and unique Permanesque style. It's been recently restored, and like the Smokey Robinson House, they are proposing to establish historic district designation status. Next slide, please. Here's a bit of a closer up view of the house, showing it on the corner. Next slide, please. Here are the existing conditions of the Tudor. So very briefly, this was built during a period of heavy population growth in the Detroit area. The builder, Roscoe Babcock, had a lot of experience constructing modern style homes in the area. These are things we take for granted today, like electrical outlets and garages. But he eyed the Magnolia subdivision, which was in then rural Southfield. Meanwhile, Don Loftus out of Cleveland was applying modern industrial techniques to home building. So he patented the Permanesque style and formed Homes Permanesque of America in 1929. So these houses featured a modern industrial technique with steel joists, concrete floors, steel frame windows. Wood was pretty minimal, and the homes were marketed as fireproof, vermin-proof, and low maintenance, and stated to last 200 years. Mr. Babcock secured a Permanesque franchise, and he started building these homes in the Detroit area. So this house was built in 1930. Next slide, please. It was given a lot of fanfare in the local news, like the Free Press. So it got a lot of visitors and a lot of press. It was pretty unique and revolutionary for its time. Unfortunately, the Permanesque home building method did not blossom. It had expensive upfront costs and high quality materials that were too prohibitive during the Great Depression and World War II. It's named for the Magnell family, who lived there from 1942 until 1998. The house was expanded in the 1950s. It did change hands a few more times after 1998 with some maintenance issues. It was purchased at auction by Kenson Cyber and restored to its original integrity. Next slide, please. Are there any other questions about this property this time? Okay, hearing none, I am going to open up the public hearing for this item. So this is the public hearing for PHDD 20-0001 at 18405 Melrose Avenue.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. You can go
Yes.
ahead with your public comment.
I had questions about this residence being provided with historic historic. I've never for single resident. Is that something the city does frequently? Hello?
Yeah. So to answer your question, no, it's not something that gets done frequently.
But it's done for Kenson Cyber.
Well, anybody can request this for their house, and if they have the sufficient architectural.
My house is older than this one. It was older than the last one too. I, as a resident, to have your house.
So you are able to request historic district designation at your leisure if you wish.
Excuse me?
The city does have a few other properties designated. So we do have the log cabin, the McDonald House at 12 and Evergreen, the Berg, and also the former transit center at 11 and Blosser.
How about the Code House? That's 180 years old. Is there more significant historic homes in Southfield than Mr. Cyber's residence?
Well, if there are, their owners are free to apply for this status.
I was talking about the mayor of Southfield being given a privilege that the rest of us don't have. What's going on? Can I get an answer? Hello?
So it's up to the owner to present a proposal to the Historic Designation Advisory Board. So you're free to do that, sir.
Am I free to get an answer to my question?
I'd be happy to respond.
I'm hoping the council can discuss it before they approve it. This being operated out of it, to what I understand.
If I may, through the chair, the caller's 3 minutes are up.
I can't have
Is there anyone else on the line?
Is there anyone else on the line who has any questions with regard to the public hearing for this historical designation? And I'm not seeing or hearing anything else.
I could respond if you care to have me respond to Mr. Bunker. Hello?
I don't know. That's up to you. That's up to you. We can move on if you'd like.
Well, all a property has to be is 50 years old. This is not my residence. It's a property that I restored to improve the neighborhood. And Mr. Bunker could certainly apply to have his house go through the procedure. There's a whole procedure to designate your property if you so choose. This house is very unique. It's the first one, permanent home built in Oakland County. But I feel it's worth the designation.
Yeah, and I would like to reiterate one more time that anybody can apply for this for their own property. We use the standards and criteria that are set forward at the National Historic Places. So seeing no other comments, I'm going to close this public hearing. And next slide, please. So the significance for PHDD 20-0001, the home is special for its stately Tudor appearance and for its place in Southfield history as part of its first major population boom, a time of great transformation for the city as it transitioned from farmland to a large city. However, the Magnell home is historically significant for its unique building method, the Permanesque style. It is the first of its kind in Oakland County, and its provenance tells a story that mirrors the rise of the Detroit automotive industry. The Magnell House meets the criteria for exceptional significance under criteria consideration C, as it embodies the distinctive characteristics of a method of construction. So at this time, I would take a motion to endorse this property. Is there anybody out there who can make a motion for this item?
Sure, I can make a motion if no one else is going to. I make,
Go ahead.
okay, I make a motion to, for the property of Melrose Place to, for the historical designation as indicated in the presentation.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Allen and a second by Van Hoy. Are there any questions for this item? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to do a roll call. Booker,
Yes, I support.
planner on behalf of the city planner, yes, I support. Pilot,
Yes.
Van Hoy,
Yes.
Fiver,
Can abstain?
Dwyer,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes,
and Griffiths.
Support.
Okay, so that motion passes. So again, these items are going to be brought as a final report along with an ordinance to the city council at a future meeting. So at this time, I'm going to adjourn through the chair. Jeff, do I need a motion for adjournment here?
Generally, I mean, if you're running the meeting, you can actually, if there's no other comments from any of the members, you can just go ahead and adjourn the meeting for this evening.
Okay. Do any of the Historic Designation Advisory Board members have any other comments at this time?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, thank you all. Feel free to stick around and stay on the planning commission meeting, or you can. Thank you and have a great night. I'm going to adjourn this meeting of the Historic
Thank you, Kyle.
Advisory Board.
Thanks for all your help.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yep, and with that, Mr. Chairman, we are back with the Planning Commission regular meeting.
Okay. We'll continue on with the public hearings for the Planning Commission. First item, PZR 21-0004.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what staff will do is, as we've done in the past, going to present the rezoning request as well as the site plan review request at the same time. As you know, you will have to have a public hearing on the rezoning, excuse me, and then you can take care of the site plan once you have rendered a decision on the rezoning portion. With that, this particular item, PZR 21-0004 and PSP 21-0007, the petitioner is Selco Partnership, doing business as Verizon Wireless, property located 24242 Northwestern Highway. This property is on the north side of Northwestern Highway between Mount Vernon and Lee Baker, Sidwell parcel 24261777018. The existing zoning of this property is OS office service and P vehicular parking. Existing zoning. Proposed zoning is ERO education research office and then P vehicular parking as well. The site plan review request is to demolish a portion of the existing building and then construct a 4,951 gross square foot addition for administrative offices plus computer and electrical equipment necessary to support the mobile network. This kind of gives you an overview of the location of the property. You can see where it is, boxed in red, in relationship to Southfield, Evergreen, 10 Mile, and 9 Mile roads. And then a close-up of the existing property. As you can see, the building itself fronts on Northwestern Highway with parking directly to the north and east of the existing building. Future land use map shows this particular property as office and research. From a rezoning standpoint, the current zoning is shown on the left-hand side. The light blue or the blue color indicates OS office service. where the balance of the parking in the gray is vehicular parking. Proposed zoning is shown on the right-hand side, which would go to ERO, Education Research Office, with the sliver of parking remaining on the north side to act as a buffer between the ERO and then the residential portions directly to the northeast. The ERO portion would be approximately 6.21 acres of land, whereas the P vehicular parking portion would be about 0.92 acres. Demolition, as I had noted, part of this proposal is to demo the portion of the existing building. So this would be the part of the building basically would be on the east side of the property. And then reconstruction or new construction of a 43,000 square foot building addition in where was the parking lot, basically to the northeast. The area that is directly south of where the new existing building would be located a brand new proposed generator, as well as a DTE substation. And Mr. Fisher, when he has his opportunity shortly, can let you know why a DTE substation was required for this particular site. Landscape plan for the property includes some additional trees, both along what would be the northwest, the northeast portion. Since the building is getting a little bit closer to the residential, to the northeast, we felt it important to have some new landscaping placed there just to serve as additional buffer, as well as some additional trees along Northwestern Highway to help screen the DTE substation. If you recall at our meeting a couple of weeks ago, there was a concern about being able to see this substation from Northwestern Highway. So the petitioner has added some additional landscape to try and help screen that from the highway. Photometric plan that does show the requirement of 0-foot candles at the property line. The floor plan that indicates the expanded administrative offices on the right-hand side with the new electrical equipment and network equipment to the left. Elevations. And then a rendering of the building. This is basically looking north and northwest. You can see what would be the substation right in this particular area right here, with the additional plantings to help try and screen that. DT substation. This is not exactly what the substation will look like, but kind of gives you an idea of a standard DT substation. So it's likely that the substation would look similar to this once fully constructed. And with that, as I noted, Mr. Scott Fisher is on the line this evening. And Scott, if you would like to kind of further give an overview of this project, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Jeff. Sorry about the delay. Just had to get off of mute. Good evening, Planning Commission. Happy to be in front of you again this evening. As Mr. Spence mentioned, my name is Scott Fisher. I am with Midwestern Consulting, who is the civil engineer and planner for Verizon Wireless on this project. I will probably reiterate a lot of items we went over a couple weeks ago, but wanted to do that as a refresher for both yourselves plus any of the public that may be watching. As you know, Verizon Wireless is one of the largest wireless telecommunication companies in the country and is in essential service throughout the country due to its support of the emergency 911 system. Over the primary purpose behind this project is that over the past decade or so, the use of data on cell phones has significantly increased compared to the original intent, which was to make a phone call. As a result of that increased data usage, there's therefore a need for a lot more computers to basically handle all of that load. As Mr. Spence pointed out, this building does serve a dual purpose of both handling the actual traffic on the network and also includes administrative staff. That staff serves multiple different purposes, from working with the network to customer care to construction. So it's all across the board. Regarding the rezoning of the project, we are requesting the change from OS to ERO primarily due to the use of the property will remain just as it is now, as I mentioned, with computers and administrative space. But with the current OS designation, we're limited to the amount of space we can actually use for the computers. So we are requesting a rezoning in order to comply with the zoning ordinance as closely as we can. And the change to ERO allows us to make this proposal without having to seek any variances. As Mr. Spence noted, this proposed type of use does follow the city's master plan, so we feel that this makes for a good transition between the busy Northwestern Highway corridor and the residential to the north. We are maintaining a strip designated as P parking. This just creates a greater buffer where at no point in the future can Verizon expand the building further closer to those residences. So we're trying to keep our building further away from those residences to not impact them. The actual site plan for this, as the layout that's provided, is actually a second or even third rendition of this layout. The primary driver behind that is the DTE substation that was noted. As you can imagine, computers require a lot of power to keep them running, and having consulted with Detroit Edison, basically the existing system can't support that much power. The existing power supply to the site actually is the same power system that supplies all of the nearby residences. So by providing this new substation, we will actually be bypassing all of those residences and hopefully providing them with additional reliability, because Verizon's power requirements will not be coming from those houses. The few highlights regarding the site is, compared to the existing, is we are providing for limited semi-truck deliveries, and by limited I mean maybe one, maybe two vehicles per week, I should say. So very not frequent. We have also now added a new service drive along the southerly edge of the property. This is purely intended for only maintenance vehicles, primarily to the substation, and also to provide the city's fire department with better access around the building for better fire protection. To reiterate a question that came up during the previous meeting, there is no proposal for any sort of cell tower at this site, and there is no proposal for one in the future at this time. There are several other cell towers in the area, so there is no need for that on this property. With that, our layout, as I mentioned, was based around the substation, which Mr. Spence pointed out is towards the southerly portion of the property. This was done intentionally in order to keep the substation as far from the local residences as possible, while also actually putting basically a large building between those residences and that substation. We're trying to block out any noise that may emit from the substation, and along with a single generator that's on that side of the building. So we're trying to do our best to be a good neighbor at that point. The existing site currently does not have any stormwater management of any kind. And I believe one of the planning commissioners mentioned last meeting that there are some standing water issues, or have been, in that general area. which I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've seen that in Verizon's parking lot as well. As part of this project, we will be putting in a underground detention facility located underneath the parking lot to the northeast of the building, and then it actually extends along almost the entire service drive down to Northwestern Highway. This detention system will provide a 100-year detention volume, and that's for over 50% of the property, which is approximately the amount that we're impacting with this proposal. One item to mention that I forgot to mention regarding the site layout, we are providing a new pedestrian access from Northwestern Highway back to the main building entrance. This is located along the northerly side of the service drive. There currently is no sidewalk leading back to the building's entrance, so this will be an improvement over the existing site. A little bit more detail regarding the substation, and which will also then lead into some of the landscaping. DT is still currently working on their final design. So what we are currently showing is a little bit of a high level design, but it's something that DT has shared with us as being what they typically will place out there. What this means is they provided us with certain requirements from their equipment that requires then certain setbacks. So with that, we're not able to really place too many other things in close proximity to that substation. They need their room for various electrical items that I will admit is beyond my knowledge base. The substation will be fenced off with a security fence and gate, so it will be separated from the public. I know that there was a question in the last meeting regarding our substation safe to be around. We have reached out to DT to try and get a definitive answer for that, and unfortunately we have not received any answer back from them. What I can share is our team's electrical engineer has made the comment, which is similar to what Planner Crow mentioned during the last meeting, that for a substation to have an effect on a person would probably require that person to essentially hug that substation equipment, and to do so for a very long period of time. If a person is walking by on the street along Northwestern, there should be absolutely no health effects on them of any kind. What I was also told is typically when substations are designed by utilities, part of the dimensions that they provide is also intended to make sure that to keep any individuals basically far enough from that equipment where it will not have an impact on them. Regarding the additional landscaping, similar, so we were able to add some landscaping along the southeasterly side of the substation by reconfiguring some of our underground detention. So we're able to provide at least a little bit more of a solid screening, but at this time we can't commit to any additional, not knowing what DT may require in that final design. Realizing how important it is in order to screen it, we have made a commitment, as noted on our drawings, that if the final DT design actually allows for more trees to be placed closer to the substation fencing, we will add that in. That will then be done as part of the final engineering drawings of this project. Regarding other site landscaping, we are removing several trees throughout the site to make room for this. To compensate for that, we are planting mitigation trees throughout the property, mostly scattered along the northerly portion, as most of the northwestern frontage already has quite large, nice mature trees that we don't want to crowd at that point, as it could then negatively impact them. As Mr. Spence mentioned, we are adding additional trees along the northeasterly property line. There's currently a 6-foot high concrete wall with a little bit of decorative fence on the top. That itself typically would be what is required for zoning compliance, But as Mr. Spence said, we want to be that good neighbor, so we have also added additional trees to help basically further that screening. And the species we've picked are ones, especially the arborvitaes we have picked, are ones that typically grow 6 to 12 inches a year. So they, within just a few years, they will fill out and provide some really good. I'm sorry, Mr. Griffiths, was I ignoring you or did I see you?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Well, fortunately, I'm almost done. The last time I wanted to make note of was due to the size of the project. We are subject to a public art piece for our project. We have elected to make a monetary donation to the city's art fund, as we think the city can make better use in providing the city with a better piece of art elsewhere in the city than along our little sliver of freeway frontage. With that, I am happy to answer any additional questions you may have, or any questions that the public may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that covered most things. This is a public hearing. I'd like to open up the public hearing at this time and remind everybody of the rules of procedure for speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks on any officer, employee, or planning commission member that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or planning commission member performs his or her duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language toward any individual when addressing the planning commission. And the phone call-in number and access code is up on the screen at this time.
And if I may, just to piggyback on that, Mr. Chairman, those who wish to speak on this particular item, again, keep your comments relevant to the rezoning request. And again, the rezoning request is to allow the rezoning from OS Office Service and P Vehicular Parking to ERO Education Research Office and P Vehicular Parking. And if you could please, anyone who does wish to make a comment, you can please state your name and address for the record. So with that,
Yes.
If we have someone on the line who would like to speak to the rezoning,
Hello,
please give your name and address for the record, please.
my name is Fred Bunker. I live at 24201 Garner. I would like to applaud the Cell Code Corporation as well as Southfield. This looks like a well thought out compilation of addition of green to a location that's quite crowded with traffic. And I think this is some of the kind of planning that we were hoping for, minus possibly the addition of solar. We have to be mindful of the 21st century that is upon us, and that electricity that can be generated anywhere in the sunshine might be an addition, but I can see nothing that's unattractive about this. I really like it, and I hope it might create new jobs. There was really no discussion if there'd be additional employment, but I wish this company all the success in the world, and I congratulate the planning department for putting this together. Looks really beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Do
you.
we have anyone else on the line who would wish to make a comment with regard to this rezoning request? And Mr. Chairman, it doesn't appear that we have anyone else on the line.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing for the Verizon Wireless project at this time and open up to the commission for questions or comments.
Through the chair, this is Commissioner Rob Willis.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher, I asked a question about the safety of the substation. I really appreciate your response. I don't know the information. That gave us a real clear indication of the efforts and the information that goes into it. And so kudos to that. I absolutely support this project. It looks good. I think it is necessary for both parties. And so we win. Again, thank you so much.
To the chair, this is Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher, let me applaud you. Great job. It does answer the question that substation understandably is needed. Therefore, to make sure that not only the residents continue to get their service, but also the people working within. The space is needed to continue your service. So it does fit our master plan. The rezoning needs to be compliant, which you're trying to do up front. So most of my comments are to the site plan, but a great job. And let me cap it off by saying excellent communication, excellent looking out for the neighbors, because with all what you're doing is you are showing that you are definitely trying to be a good neighbor with the thing you're doing, which definitely comes into the site plan. And thanks for donating to the art fund. I'm quite sure they will be able to use that money to buy a nice piece of art. But great job. This does fit the master plan, and I am 100% in support of rezoning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
To the chair, Commissioner Martin.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Martin.
Jeff, can you just show where the underwater water retention portion would be?
If I recall, sir, I believe that the retention is going to be up here at the northern portion of the property. And if you recall, we actually had a caller on the last meeting that actually had a concern, or someone had a concern with regard to some of the flooding in the area. And I believe that Mr. Fisher had noted that this actually would relieve some of that issue. But the stormwater management will be up in this northeast portion, just northeast of the proposed building.
Thank you very much. I too would like to say I think that this is a good idea. I like the plan myself, and I think looking at the water situation, the way people were talking about flooding, I think that's a very good action to take. Thank you very much.
Okay, if there's no additional questions or comments on the rezoning, we'll entertain a motion.
If you may, sir, let me read the planner's recommendation first.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Thank you. So the planning department does recommend favorable recommendation of the proposal to rezone 7.13 acres of land from OS office service and P vehicular parking to 6.21 acres of ERO education research office and 0.92 acres of P vehicular parking for the following reasons. Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan indicates office and research for this property. The change in zoning would be compatible with and similar to existing adjacent zonings and land uses, and the proposal is in accordance with the standards for rezoning for the property.
All right, thank you. With that recommendation, if there is any other discussion, go ahead, or we'll entertain a motion at this time.
The chair, Commissioner Martin.
Yes.
I'd like to propose approval of PZR 21-0004 for rezoning.
Commissioner Culpepper, support.
Okay, we've got a favorable recommendation by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Culpepper. We have a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Martin.
Approve.
Mr. Willis.
Support.
Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, you have favorable recommendation for PZR 21-0004.
Okay. Now returning back to the site plan. PSP 21-0007. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
If I may, through the chair, there was one item I did want to bring up that was noted in my final review of the plans after they were submitted. And that was that the sliding gate that's shown on the plan is actually shown at 8.5 feet high. And Mr. Fisher, I just wanted to note that within the zoning ordinance, the maximum height for a fence is 6 feet high. And I noticed that most of the fencing there is 6 feet, but the gate itself was 8.5. That would require a waiver from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, we have no issue, we're okay supporting that, but I just wanted to let you know that there would be an additional step here beyond the council for an 8.5-foot fence versus a 6 foot.
If I may respond to that really quickly.
Yes.
Dimension that Jeff noted is actually an error. Our intent is to have all fencing at 6 feet in height and therefore avoid the need for any variance.
Great call.
Okay, with that, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if there's no other comments, staff would be happy to make a recommendation.
Yep, go ahead. Not hearing any other discussion.
If I may, through the chair, I thought that Commissioner Culpepper had noted that he had comments on the site plan when we were talking about the rezoning request, but.
Yeah, to the chair, I didn't want to hold you up, but I just wanted to say, based on the presentation, great job of doing what you're doing to that site. I mean, with the planting of the trees to make sure that the residents got a big buffer. The wall is already there, but you're putting in additional buffering for the trees and doing the new pedestrian walkway. We have one of our members that walked that area, and she's ecstatic about it because it's a nice area. So the site is beautiful as it is, but with all the new additions you're putting in, I think the residents will be more than happy with that. That's the thing I want to say. Great job with the landscaping, additional buffer, and the screening. And the thing about the substation, with you screening in that substation with trees and other areas, that is going to be invisible. So Mr. Willis brought that up earlier. But I just want to say great job on the site, period. That's all. Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks. Yeah, very thorough presentation and really hit all the items, made it easier for us to review and approve. So nice
Absolutely.
job on connecting all the dots and checking all the boxes. So yeah, Jeff, do you have the recommendation?
I do, sir. Okay, with regard to PSP 21-0007, the Planning Department does recommend favorable recommendation of the site plan review request of Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless for the demolition of a portion of the existing building and construction of a new 43,951 gross square foot building addition for administration, as well as computer and electrical equipment necessary to support the mobile network. Property located 24242 Northwestern Highway, suitable parcel 2426177-018 for the following reasons and conditions. Subject to approval of PZR 21-0004 by the City Council. Landscaping must be installed in accordance with the approved landscape plan prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, unless the season of the year does not permit installation. In that instance, a bond must be submitted to the building department to cover the cost of installation, and a temporary certificate of occupancy shall be given. Upon completion of landscaping and approval of the same by the planning department, the bond will be returned and final certificate of occupancy shall be given. Exterior lighting will be shielded to prevent spillage of glare onto adjacent properties and shall be installed in accordance with the photometric lighting plan prepared by Gasser Bush Associates dated 3/29/2021. Petitioners provide a sprinkler system for landscape areas to encourage preservation of plant material. Petitioner is to execute a perpetual maintenance agreement for the landscape and parking areas, both on site and in the right-of-way, which includes maintenance of any stormwater detention system. Petitioner is to implement the recommendations made by the Southfield Police Department's Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security. Approval of the site plan and/or building elevations represented herein does not constitute nor guarantee approval for signage. Separate approval and sign permits must be obtained from the building department for any proposed sign. Bike rack shall be installed in accordance with Article 4, Section 5.29, Paragraph 12. In lieu of providing a required work of art on the site, the owner has decided to donate $25,000 to the Public Art Fund. And the building shall be constructed in accordance with the submitted elevations shown on sheet A200. And that concludes this presentation.
Thank you. Well, entertain a motion.
Through the chair, this is Commissioner Rob Willis.
Yes.
I've moved for favorable approval of site plan for PSP 21-0007.
Commissioner Culpepper, support.
Okay. Just a point of clarification. Do we have to add the condition of the fence, or can we handle that? The fence height?
Yeah, sir, I did not read that into the record. So yeah, you do not have to do anything with the fence.
Okay. So remind me again, who made the motion and who supported?
Motion by Mr. Willis, supported by Commissioner Culpepper.
Okay, thank you. What they said. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Willis.
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we have favorable recommendation for PSP 21-0007. If I may, just to those who would be listening, this particular item will now be scheduled for the June agenda of the City Council. So you can look for that coming to the council next month. And the same to Scott. I'll be following up with you on the schedule for the June agenda of the council.
Okay, thank you. The next public hearing is PSLU 21-0005.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is for the Lux Ballroom on behalf of the owner Solo Company LLC. The unit address of the ballroom where this particular special land use is being proposed, 23835 Greenfield Road. This is actually a unit within the existing Cornerstone Plaza Shopping Center. It's located on the southwest corner of Greenfield Road in Mount Vernon. Civil parcel 242540. I'm sorry, there's got a couple of extra numbers in there. 401-018. Existing zoning is B2 Plan Business, and the special land use request is to allow for an event center as a place of assembly within the existing shopping center. This image kind of gives you an idea of its location in relationship to 9 Mile Southfield Road in Mount Vernon. So the closer look of the property itself. The zoning of the property, future land use, is actually within the Downtown Development Authority area. And again, the property is zoned B2 Plan Business. This is an overview of the property itself. North is actually to your left here. The boxed area in red is the proposed location for this particular use. I mean, you can see in relationship to the rest of the shopping center, it is rather a small unit. We're looking at about 4,200 square feet, I believe, for the total square footage for this particular unit in relationship to the rest of the site. This unit would actually be taking the place of the Rent-A-Center that you can see on this image showing the facade of the existing building. And this is the floor plan for the site itself. If I recall, the petitioner had noted probably maximum they would have in this particular space for any particular event would probably be up to about 90 people. And with that, we do have the petitioner, Ms. Fletcher, on the phone, as well as the owner of the shopping center, Fred Nager. So, Ms. Fletcher, if you would like to add anything additional to this particular proposal, you're free to do that at this time.
Thank you, Jeff. Again, my name is Cynthia Fletcher. I am the owner and lead operator at the Lux Ballroom. Thank you guys again for the opportunity to present my ideas for bringing my business to the city of Southfield. Just a couple of things about the Lux Ballroom and how we'll be operating. There's a couple of bases that we covered in the previous meeting that I'm going to go ahead and go over just so that the public are aware as well now that they're joining us. So our days and hours of operation is going to be Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. until 12 a.m. And then on weekends, Saturday and Sundays from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. We anticipate our venue capacity to be 100 people. We do have security that will be in attendance at every event. We have a security company that we've used in the past, so we are going to continue service with them. There's no money stored on site, so all of our bookings, all of our payments are accepted through our website. So there's no money that'll be stored at the venue at all. This will be our one and only location in the southeastern Michigan area. Our previous location that was located in Farmington Hills, we're no longer operating from. The type of events we anticipate to host are events such as weddings, wedding showers, and receptions, retirement parties, corporate meetings, and business seminars. And of course, as mentioned in our previous meeting, will also be available for meetings and events held by city officials. There are some events that we will not allow. Those events include teen parties, Sweet 16, any paid or ticketed events will not be allowed. We have a total of 5 full-time employees, 1 venue manager, 2 event managers, and 2 cleanup personnel. As for emergency egress at the building, there's 2 doors, one located at the front and then an exit located in the rear of the building. All food services are going to be provided from an approved list of insured catering companies. So there will be no food prepared on site. The venue will not have a kitchen area or stoves or ovens or anything like that. And then we'll also have catering opportunities that we'll be able to offer to some of the neighboring businesses and neighboring restaurants within the city of Southfield. So parking will be allowed throughout the event. For larger events, we are going to provide valet services and instruct the valet company to park the cars furthest from the front of the parking lot, just to leave those areas up front for CVS and the DaVita dialysis, and then the restaurants that are also next to us. As far as security issues and how we'll handle them, as mentioned before, we will have on-site security guards at every event. And then, of course, I'll work with them. And then when issues arrive that requires law enforcement, we'll involve them when necessary. So those were pretty much the basics of how we'll be operating. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have or any questions from the public.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I believe that Mr. Alicevis, who's the director of the Downtown Development Authority, is online as well. Al, if you are online, if you'd like to make a couple of comments.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Good evening, commissioners. To add to my additional comments from the last time that we've met, on May the 21st, this project was introduced to the DDA Board of Directors. They moved ahead with a unanimous recommendation to move this project before you this evening with the hope that the commissioners would approve this going forward. As I mentioned, Fred Nager has been a longtime supporter of the DDA in the city, and in particular the district, and this would certainly go a long ways in helping him to begin filling some of the vacant space that he has over at his malls. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If there's no additional comments, I'd like to open up the public hearing at this time.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for the public that are listening right now, this is your opportunity to make a comment with regard to PSLU 21-0005, again, for the placement of an event center as a special land use within this particular shopping center. The telephone number is currently on the screen, 1-415-655-0001. And then when prompted, put in the access code 173-323-4247. With that, Mr. Chairman, we'll wait a couple minutes here, see if we have any public who would like to make a comment on this, and I'll be back with you in a minute or so.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, it doesn't appear that we have anyone from the public who would like to make a comment on this item.
Okay, we will close the public hearing at this time. Questions or comments from the commission?
To the chair, Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Ms. Fletcher, let me say, great presentation. I think this project does meet the special land use with all the requirements. I think you covered a wide range of activities or people that you can service in that facility. And your hours are great, 4 to 12, Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 on Saturday and Sunday. I like your security. You got people on site to take care of any issues between you and them. And if anything goes out of hand, you can contact the police. I personally think you're going to be a great neighbor. You got great safety protocols in place. And again, we're filling up a space that I know Mr. Nager is glad because his previous customer left. So now I see you laughing for it. Now you got another person in there to do that. And well, let me say this beforehand. I hope this goes through, and welcome to Southfield. And I greatly appreciate your presentation. It was outstanding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
If I may, I'd like to also chime in
Sure, go ahead.
and say great job, Ms. Fletcher. Thank you for thinking of Southfield, the center of it all. I'm excited about what you plan on doing, and I just think it's really great. what you have. You're a young woman, and I just think you'll be a great addition. Some diversity as far as age as a business coming into our city, and I think you'll just do a great job. I look forward to sending people to your venue as well as myself and supporting it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commission? I'll just say, I think the slide with the overall center floor plan and the parking, it shows that this is a relatively small space, but it's a good use. It's going to bring traffic at different hours to the center. Probably be busier when the center was quieter, but it's still in a very large site with plenty of parking, plenty of traffic flow and everything. I think it's a good location for this type of use. So I would be in support. All right, with that, we have a recommendation from staff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With regard to this particular item, PSLU 21-0005, the Planning Department does recommend favorable recommendation for the special use of the Lux Ballroom on behalf of the owner Solo Company, LLC, to allow for an event center as a place of assembly located 23835 Greenfield Road, suitable parcel 2425401018, with the following conditions. Hours of operation shall be limited to 4 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to midnight on Saturday and Sunday. Submitted special use with any conditions recommended by the Planning Department and the Planning Commission will be of such size and character that will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the B2 Planned Business District. Location, size, intensity, and periods of operation of the proposed use is designed to eliminate any possible nuisance likely to emanate therefrom, which might be adverse to occupants of any nearby permitted use. Proposed use is in accord with the spirit and purpose of the chapter and is not inconsistent with or contrary to the objectives sought to be accomplished by this chapter and principles of sound planning. Proposed use is of such character and vehicular traffic generated will not have an adverse effect or be detrimental to the surrounding land uses or adjacent thoroughfares. The proposed uses of such character, intensity, and arranged on the site so as to eliminate any adverse effects resulting from noise, dust, dirt, glare, odor, or fumes. Proposed use will not be adverse to the promotion of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And the proposed use is designed and operated so as to provide security and safety to employees and the general public. And that concludes this report.
Thank you. We have a motion.
To the chair, Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
I'd like to have favorable approval of PSLU 21-0005.
This is Commissioner Rob Willis. I support.
Okay, we've got a favorable recommendation by Commissioner Martin, supported by Commissioner Willis. We'll have a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Martin.
Approve.
Mr. Willis.
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper.
Yes.
And Mr. Griffiths.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you do have a favorable recommendation for PSLU 21-0005.
Okay, thank you and good luck.
Yeah, and with that, again to Ms. Fletcher and then Mr. Nager, this item will be coming to the council in June, and I will follow up with you tomorrow on the dates of the study meeting and the regular meeting.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes from April 14th.
Sir, yep. Go ahead.
April 14th and April 28th.
Yeah, if I may, through the chair, I do know that Mr. Martin had sent out some revisions. So I believe that each one of the commissioners did receive a copy of that with those proposed revisions in red.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Thank you.
And yes, I did too.
So if I may, whatever recommendation that's made should be based upon those amendments that were made by by Mr. Martin.
Correct. To the chair,
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper,
Yes.
I so move we accept the minutes of April the 14th with the necessary corrections as noted. Also, the meeting on April 28th with the necessary corrections to the spelling area as mentioned. All corrections were duly noted on April 14th and April the 28th. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Rob Willis. Again, I support.
Okay, we've got a favorable recommendation with the corrections by Commissioner Culpepper, supported by Commissioner Willis. We have a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Willis,
Yes.
Mr. Culpepper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
and Mr. Griffith.
Yes.
All right, you have approval for your minutes for April 14th and April 28th.
All right. Now we have the public comment section.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is the point in the meeting in which the public has an opportunity to address the commission. You are limited to 3 minutes unless it's extended by the chairman or by a majority vote of the commission. The telephone number to call in for communications is 1-415-655-0001. And when prompted, put in the event number 173-323-4247, followed by 2 pound signs. With that, anyone from the public who would wish to call in, you can do so right now. And Mr. Chairman, as you're aware, and for the public knowledge, because there's a little bit of a delay between this meeting and then what's shown on cable, we will wait a minute or so to see if we have anyone call in. And if we do, please give your name and address for the record, and then we would then allow you to proceed with your comment. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we'll wait a minute or so and see if we have anyone who called.
Okay, thank you.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman. Scott Fisher again. Could I happen to speak as a member of the public quickly?
Sure, go ahead.
I didn't get a chance to say it after my presentation, but I wanted to just say thank you to all of you planning members for your kind words on the project and the presentation, and for also recommending approval. So appreciate all of your consideration, and also thanks to Planner Spence for actually making this really easy of a presentation for me.
No, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Take care.
Hey, Jeff, can I give a comment as a member of the public, or slightly related to city operations here? What's the protocol?
My belief, sir, is if we can wait until after this public comment section, and then we can give the commission an opportunity to make comment. That's how I would do it, sir. And Mr. Chairman, it doesn't appear that we have anyone for the public comment portion of tonight's meeting.
Okay, let's close the public comment section at this time. Next, miscellaneous items.
Yeah, if I may, it's a rarity, but we actually have no cases for June. So you actually have your next month of Wednesdays completely free. We do have some items in the hopper, but we're still awaiting site plans to be provided to us. So you will have some items for July, but we have no items for June.
God is good.
Sounds like a good thing.
Yep, that's the only miscellaneous that staff has. So again, sir, if you wanted to, if there was something that you wish to say, you can do that now during this portion, or if anyone else has any comment.
Yeah, I think it kind of ties in. I think it's, at least in my personal opinion, the opinion of many of my clients who try to do business in the city of Southfield, other cities around. I think it's time we all get back to business here. Open up the doors to the city buildings. Let the contractors come in, apply for permits, talk to staff, directly across the counter. I think we've survived. I think we've done a pretty decent job with handling everything remotely and online. But the world seems to be getting back to normal. Business is trying to pick up. I think it's going to be a lot easier to do business the way we used to in the past. So personal gripe / agenda / let's just keep things moving here if we can. I don't know what the city of Southfield plans, but definitely many other cities that I'm working in personally have opened up the doors and tried to get back to some sense of business as usual. And
if I may
about time.
if I may through the chair to the chairman and then to the commission, we actually will be opening our doors to the public on June 1st. So the day after Memorial Day, we will go back to business as usual. We will still require masks for the time being, but at least the doors will be open for the public to actually come into the building starting next Tuesday.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Chair, I'd like to make a comment. Commissioner Martin. Before we first got a discussion of the Lux Ballroom, we had plenty of complaints from residents in the apartments in the surrounding area. I noticed after the initial presentation, we haven't had any complaints. I think that presentation did a good job in cutting out and answering all the negative comments and providing information that the residents need. And I think if other presentations do as good a job, it'll cut down on a lot of problems and issues that residents have and satisfy their needs and goals. That's just my general comment. Thank you.
Very true. Any other comments? All right. Well, we'll see you all in a month or so, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.